Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, February 28th, the last day of the month of February. And for several days we've been talking about a Siberian air mass that is now firmly entrenched in the northeastern part of the country. We've also been talking about a couple different storms to hit California. The first storm hit California yesterday with significant rainfall and interior snows. The second storm, a more powerful storm, quite an incredible looking storm right now, still off the west coast, but will slam into California later today into tomorrow, producing significant rainfall on the order of 3 to 6 inches in the coastal sections of California over the next 48 hours or so. That storm will cross the country, cause major problems here in the mid-Atlantic region late Sunday night and on Monday. It looks like a major snowstorm across much of Pennsylvania with some icing included, and it looks like a potential significant ice storm just south of the Mason-Dixon line with some accumulating snow there as well. Before we get to the early week storm that's coming to the mid-Atlantic region, let's focus in on today's brutal cold. This is the latest map from coolweather.com that shows all the cities and towns that have record lows this morning or near record lows basically throughout the Northeast and Midwest. There's just some incredible cold this morning. The coldest temperature I've seen was minus 35 degrees in upper part of Michigan. In Pennsylvania, it's as low as 20 below in upstate Pennsylvania. Some of these are incredible right here in Oscoda, Michigan. This is the all-time record low temperature, not just for the day, not just for the month, but the all-time record low temperature at about 24 degrees below zero right now. Philadelphia bottomed out at about 10 degrees this morning. That's the airport in South Philly. The record low there was 9, so it looks like it did not tie the record here in Philadelphia, but the suburbs are way down in the single digits and just brutal cold, not only for this time of the year, but for any time of the year throughout the upper part of the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic region. Even some record lows or near record lows all the way down into the deep south, down to places like right near New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, let's now focus in on the upcoming major storm for the Mid-Atlantic region late Sunday night and Monday. This is an infrared satellite image of the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean. And here is the powerful storm. It is quite an impressive looking storm. This is the very latest infrared satellite image of the eastern part of the Pacific. Lots of tropical moisture feeding in on the southeast flank here, about to pour into California. This will slowly move to the east and then slam into California later today into tomorrow. Again, some areas will receive up to half a foot of rain over the next 24 to 36 hours or so in central and even way down in southern California. This is a storm that then crosses the country and pounds the mid-Atlantic region late Sunday night and Monday with a major winter storm. By the way, one last point before we leave this particular viewpoint. There is yet another major storm out here over the central Pacific Ocean. It looks like that we may be dealing with another major storm in the eastern U.S. at the end of next week. So this train of Pacific storms is not ending with this particular storm. There may very well be one or more beyond this particular storm over the next week to 10 days or so. Well, here's the latest infrared satellite imagery loop from the SSEC Wisconsin website of the continental U.S. On the very western edge, you can see this spin in the atmosphere. That is the upcoming California storm that crosses the country. Very impressive looking storm. A long fetch of moisture fed in on its southeast flank from way down in the tropical part of the Pacific. And again, California will get inundated with rain. They're in a drought, kind of a drought period here, but this will certainly dent that drought with up to 6 inches of rain in central and southern California. That storm then just crosses the country and slams into the mid-Atlantic, northeastern part of the country in the late Sunday night, Monday time frame. Lots of clear skies here in the northeast with just Siberian air mass in total control. Temperatures today will be way below normal, some 25 degrees below normal in the I-95 corridor. A struggle to reach 20 degrees in Philadelphia. The normal high is somewhere around 45 degrees right now. Just brutal, brutal cold for any time of the year, but especially as we are now just about into the month of March. This is an incredible cold air mass for this time of the year. Well, let's focus in on the Sunday-Monday situation here using last night's Zero-Z GFS model run. First of all, a point about the computer forecast model. The GFS model has been very consistent, almost incredibly consistent with several of its past runs, in that it has colder air moving in from the north into the mid-Atlantic region during the day on Sunday, especially the latter part of Sunday. It has been very consistent with what looks like a snowstorm for Pennsylvania and perhaps an ice storm for just south of the Mason-Dixon line. The European model, which we will not show here right now, has been kind of flip-flopping back and forth between a cold solution, then a warm solution, then a cold solution. Well, it's tended to lean more towards the GFS model run in its last couple of runs, certainly colder than it has been in the last couple of days. So chalk one up perhaps here for the GFS. Of course, this has yet to play out, and we'll continue to monitor it. And another important point to make here is it's still 3 days away, so there's still plenty of time. That Pacific storm is just now moving into the data-rich sections of the western part of the U.S. that feeds into all these computer forecast models. So still 3 days away, still some changes that can be made, but this is the very latest from last night's Zero-Z model run from the GFS for Sunday morning. By this time, we've been highlighting the very cold, strong Arctic high pressure anchored here in south central Canada, and a piece of that spreads all the way into the southeastern part of Canada. And this is kind of a key to the forecast. It's a key to the GFS model run. It has had a much stronger cold high pressure system in the northeastern U.S., southeastern part of Canada compared to the other computer forecast models, and that results in a colder solution for much of the mid-Atlantic region. This will send cold air down at the low levels in the on the east side of the Appalachian Mountains later in the day on Sunday into Sunday evening. You can think of this blue line here as kind of a rain snow line right along the Pennsylvania-Maryland border come Sunday morning. All this moisture is from what will remain of that California storm as it crosses the country into the central part of the U.S. by Sunday morning. Let's now jump ahead to the Sunday evening forecast map. By Sunday evening, still not a lot of precipitation in the mid-Atlantic region. In fact, there may be a couple of showers of rain, sleet, or snow during the day on Sunday. Definitely rain down in the D.C. metro region, but anything is possible in terms of precipitation type across Pennsylvania, rain, sleet, or snow shower. Not much, however, is the point I'm trying to make during the day on Sunday. And by the way, temperatures today brutally cold, but tomorrow and Sunday will not be nearly as cold, with high temperatures way up in the 30s as compared to close to 20 degrees this afternoon along the I-95 corridor. So the heaviest precipitation holds off till later Sunday night. And again, this is the Sunday evening forecast map. Lots of moisture building up here in the south central part of the country. Still a very strong high pressure system anchored over south central Canada, with a piece of it right into the southeastern part of Canada, and that is sending cold, cold Arctic air at the low levels down east of the Appalachian Mountains. Now here's the forecast map for Monday morning, and by this time the storm is really underway. Certainly big problems with the Monday morning rush hour as well as the Monday evening rush hour throughout the mid-Atlantic region, especially from the Pennsylvania-Maryland border on north. Notice this blue line has dropped a little bit to the south here, now in across northern Maryland, maybe right near the D.C. metro region as of early Monday morning. Still high pressure to the north and cold air being sent down at the low levels east of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, the low pressure center itself is down here over the eastern part of Tennessee. Not a monster low in terms of surface low pressure. Don't expect a all-time record or anything like that with this particular in terms of low pressure. But what's really important is the difference between the low pressure and the high pressure. And with the high pressure to the north, a strong high pressure system to the north, you certainly can end up with a significant storm here, despite the fact that the surface low pressure is not incredibly deep. So again, at this time, it looks like heavy snow starting to break out here across much of Pennsylvania, and there can be certainly some icing at the onset across Pennsylvania, and at this time maybe some icing continues with a buildup across places like D.C., northern Maryland, northern Virginia. But even there, we'll see by Monday evening, the cold air continues to drop slowly to the south and east, and even where there's an ice situation, an ice buildup, it too will change to accumulating snow. Let's now jump ahead to the Monday evening forecast map. Monday evening, that storm starts to pull off the mid-Atlantic coastline. The cold air continues to drive slowly to the south and east. Any ice that earlier was falling across, let's say, the northern part of Maryland, northern Virginia, into the D.C. region will very likely change to accumulating snow, continuation of snow throughout Pennsylvania. The northern edges of this will be quite a sharp cutoff. It looks like Massachusetts will get hit with some snow, but not nearly as much as Pennsylvania, for example. Right now, it looks like Pennsylvania very well may be in the bullseye for the snow, and why not? The northern and western suburbs of Philadelphia have been in the bullseye for snow much of the winter, and much of the eastern part of Pennsylvania, and it looks like that very well may continue on Monday as well. Boston may end up with 3 to 6 inches out of this, but a foot is possible in New York City and throughout much of Pennsylvania. A foot is on the table. Again, a sharp cutoff to the north. Places in Maine may not see any snow at all. At least that's the way it stands right now, and that is, of course, 3 days away. Down across D.C., a significant ice storm will be followed by some accumulating snow, far less than what should fall across Pennsylvania, but nonetheless, there will be accumulating snow way down into the D.C. metro region as well, perhaps on the order of a few inches or so. And again, it's still 3 days away. Finally, by Tuesday morning, that storm is pulling off the mid-Atlantic coastline. High pressure, very, very cold air on its heels for Tuesday into Wednesday. Just another brutal cold air mass will follow this storm. So a significant snowstorm is likely on Monday across much of Pennsylvania. There will be some icing included. A big buildup of ice is possible just to the south of the Mason-Dixon line, the way it looks right now across much of Maryland, northern Virginia, maybe the D.C. metro region, parts of the Delmarva Peninsula. But even in those areas, there will be accumulating snow. Well, that ice will eventually change to accumulating snow all the way down to the Delmarva Peninsula and the D.C. metro region. So stay tuned to the SIWeather.com for updates later today, and stay tuned to the SIWeather.com this weekend for updates as well. That's it for now. For the SIWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.